Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm truly honored to be here with you. And this is Black History Month. This is the month they gave black people to share and talk about history that they made. The shortest month in the year. We accept it, but it goes year round. Black history. I bring you greetings from 65, 56 old men that are still living. We just lost the only living female two days before Christmas last year. But I bring you greetings from the 56 players that are still living, that played in the Negro Baseball League. 31 of these men that are living today is 90 or more years old. One player still living is 102. His name is Roosevelt Jackson. He's got a mind like you wouldn't believe. He can remember dates, things that happened in the Negro Baseball League. This morning I spoke to some students about this history, about my part of the history, but this afternoon I'm going to talk about the history of the Negro Baseball League. My history can be found in my autobiography, which is in a book called Voices from the Negro Baseball League. I'm the president of yesterday's Negro League Baseball Players Foundation, and I represent those players that are still living that played in the Negro Baseball League. I want to go back to when black men was playing in the major leagues in the late 1800s. They were playing in the major leagues alongside white players. And something happened. The black players somehow excelled faster than the white players. So if you own the team, you want it, and you want to win, you want the best ball player. And somehow, those black ball players excel faster. They can run faster, jump higher, and hit the ball further. But it was called a white man's sport. So it bothered the white power structure, and they had to figure out how can we stop this flux of black players coming into the major league, because they're coming in too fast. It won't be long when it's all going to be black. So they set out to stop it, and they were very, very successful in doing it. The first thing they did is call all the owners into a room, and they voted. Each owner voted that they would not hire another black man to play on their team. Almost overnight, all those great black ball players, they disappeared from the major league roll. Moses Fleetwood Walker would be the first and the last. It would be 63 years later before you heard the word Jackie Robinson in the major leagues. So my young people, and I know most of you have written about Jackie Robinson, there's a lot about Jackie that they wrote about that's not true. Jackie was a great man. He did something none of the other players could do at that time. But the story they tell about him did not happen like they said it did. And this is from the old men who was there, who prepared him to do what he did, passed it down to me. Moses Fleetwood Walker stayed on as long as he could after they ousted them. But that gentleman's agreement, that word, gentleman's agreement, prevailed. So he ended his career in the Major League Baseball and became an inventor. But that's another story. Remember the name, Moses Fleetwood Walker. Those black men that was ousted from the major leagues, and this is what disturbs me. What happened to them? Why didn't they protest? Well, they didn't protest because the Supreme Court made a law saying that, hey, it's legal for y'all to separate from them. So they got away with it. These men, these baseball players, went away and formed teams of their own and played each other. But I have you to know that they took that little white ball called baseball and perfected it. They made it what they're calling it today, American greatest pastime. Ladies and gentlemen, their style, their technique of play was different than that of the major leagues. Thousands of people will come out and watch them play because of that. It was more exciting, more daring than that of the major leagues. Owners and managers from the major league were sneaking their games and study the technique they were using and take it back to the major league and implement it. There's a lot of play today they are using in the major league that came from the Negro Baseball League. The hit and run, they use it every day. It's a very important part of baseball. It came from the Negro Baseball League. Of course, in the Negro League, it was called the bunt and run because those guys could run so fast. The helmet they wear on the head came from the Negro League because at one time, there was no shin guards, there was no hit protector. A lot of men, ball players got hurt, got injured. Some of them died. And I tell a story about the helmet because they passed it down to me. They said, one day a player got hit on the head with that baseball and died. And his friend, it disturbed him. He was about ready to quit, stop playing because of that. You know, and I'm gonna pause right here for a minute because in baseball, if you crowd at the plate, the pitcher, and they call it knock him down. I heard that so many times. Knock him down. Hey, kid, knock him down. I didn't know what they talking about because I never heard it before. We didn't do that in baseball in high school. But knock him down meant brush him back, get him off of the plate. Because he's on the plate, he could pull the ball and get a home run. So they said knock him down. Well, that's just one of the plays that they did. But this helmet came from the Negro Baseball League. This gentleman, friend that got killed, took a hacksaw. His uncle worked for a coal mine. And he took a hacksaw and cut out that hard hub. And every time he would go to bat, he would put this hard plastic hub on his head. They laughed at him. It was funny. He looked funny. As it would be, a player got beamed on the head, and it saved his life. And word went around the Negro League what had happened. And it wasn't very long before you saw funny-looking hubs all over the Negro Baseball League. Some engineers saw this and saw a need for a hit protector and made a batting helmet that they use today in baseball to protect the head. Shin guard was the same way. I didn't know what pulpwood was. I didn't understand. I lived in the South, but they said Negro League player took and hubbed out pulpwood because it's light, and they would put it on the shin, protect the shin. And there's a lot of other things. One day I'm gonna get with some of them old guys, and we're gonna talk about some of the safeties they use in playing. They interviewed me on NBC about a year ago. And they had, no, about 3 years ago, they had the nerve to ask me, did y'all use steroids? And I said, no, we couldn't even spell it. But I'm sure those old men used something to help them heal faster. So, the Negro League players played every day. This is the only way they can make enough money to go to the next city to play. We call them money games. We got 60% of the gate if we won. If we lost, we got 40. And we could not take a chance of losing. We needed that money. We prayed it didn't rain. That was life in the Negro League. But those old men played under conditions that the Major League never had to play under. And yet, the Negro League was called a major league. There was 2 major leagues, one white, one black, and unequal. They made baseball America's greatest pastime. By 1929, the Negro League died. They didn't have money to continue. I talk about this because this is something those old men passed down to me. Because I asked questions, I wanted to know what happened after the Negro League. They said they died. They didn't have money to continue. White businessmen, and there was 2 black owners. Most of them was white businessmen. Brought back 16 of those teams. This is history you're not going to find in the books because the historians and the writers didn't know this or cared less to report it. They brought back 16 of these teams. Now, they went underground. No one knew who owned the team because they hired black men fronting as they owned the team. So if you went today to some of these old men living and asked him who owned the team, he would give you a name, but he did not own the team. He was fronting for the man that did own it. And this was God working. This was God in the working because first order of business. The businessmen, they knew the crowds that was coming to watch them play. So the first thing they did is, we're going to get a place large enough to hold big crowds. They went to the major leagues, owners, and they rented those parks for them to play in when the major league team was out of town. When I talk to my young people, the mere thought of Jackie Robinson had nothing to do with the major leagues ready to integrate. It was economics, like everything else. They made millions of dollars off of the name and likeness of those great black ball players. Right there in Chicago, where I played at Old Comiskey Park, on a Friday night, Chicago White Sox would play and draw 20,000 people. Chicago American Giants coming in on a Saturday night, we draw 35,000. People lined up Shield Avenue to get in the park to watch us play. But that didn't only happen in Chicago, it happened in Cleveland, Detroit, New York, St. Louis. Everywhere there were a Negro League team, they drew more fans than that of the major leagues. They were making money. Now, question came up, they won't let these guys play in the major leagues with the team, and yet they rent them their parks, and they draw more fans than they do. The word was going around what was happening. First commissioner of Major League Baseball was named Mountain Kensaw Landry. The Mountain felt the same way that others did. He felt this was a white man's sport, so he was the one that kept it going all year. But there had to have been some owners who felt this is wrong what we're doing, keeping them great ball players out of the major league because of the color of their skin. This is stupid. But he owned the rules of baseball, and they had to abide by it. So they kept going. So the owners make more money. And they won't let them play. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the black all-stars and play against the white all-stars at the end of the season. We're going to travel around city to city, big stadium, and we're going to pack those. They did. They packed the stadium. They recorded 86 games played against the black all-star and the white all-star. The black all-star won every game but 6. Mountain Kennesaw London called up to stop it. Don't play no more. Don't play them guys no more. Because they got everything to gain and y'all got everything to lose. But you know, the Lord decided he would take over now. So he sent Kennesaw Landers home to hell. I mean, he died. Kennesaw died. And it was like a breath of fresh air around the league that he had died. Because, you know, they said you shouldn't say anything about the dead that's good. And that's what they said when they died. That's good. Because they knew change was coming. Happy Chandler, young man, came in there at the second commission of Major League Baseball. Happy, he called all those owners into a room. He said, come here, fellas. This is too embarrassing to me. We won't let these guys play together in the Major League. We rent them out of a park. They draw more fans than we do. Something got to be done. But those owners had done this so long, they were scared to take a chance. But a young man came on the scene, Branch Rickey. And he was a businessman also. But Branch knew change was coming. And I'm going to make a name for myself because I'm going to be the first one to do it. Branch Rickey started looking for one black man that would withstand the pressures that he would have to go through, opening that door so black men would be able to play in the Major League. Branch Rickey interviewed over 200 players. And every time he would interview one, he would turn them down. Oh, yes. He interviewed Satchel Paige. Said, say, Satchel, you're the greatest pitcher to ever walk out on that mound. Your name is ringing around the league as the greatest pitcher. But I can't use you, Satchel. I can't use you to do this because of your attitude. Man, if I put you in there, you're going to mess it up. If I put you in there, Satchel, and they call your name, you're going to hit them with the ball. And it's going to be another 50 years before they tried it again. He went to Josh Gibson, greatest home run hitter of all time. Josh, I know you're the only ball player to hit the baseball out of Yankee Stadium on the street. I know that, Josh. And everybody say you're the greatest hitter of all time. But I can't use you. I can't use you to do this because you don't understand, Josh. You mess it up. They call your name, you're going to hit them with the bat. So he kept looking. Jackie Robinson was not even in the league. And this is what the historians and the writers miss. Oh, they wrote about his court-martial and the fact that he fought and the court-martial court and won. They talk about, no, they don't talk about why. They just said they court-martialed him. They don't talk about the reason why. The reason why they court-martialed him because Jackie said, I'm in the military fighting for the government, and my wife, and you're going to have her to move in the back of this bus, she's going to sit up here with us. And for that, they court-martialed him. He went and won it. Jackie was a fighter. Now he's out of baseball. Out of the military. He don't have a job. All he knows what to do is play baseball and football, basketball, but he loved baseball. So he went to the Kansas City Monarchs. And I'm telling you this because Mr. Sherwood Brewer, who started this organization, yesterday's Negro League Baseball, was playing with the Kansas City Monarchs. Mr. Brewer was a second baseman. But when Jackie came in there, he moved over to shortstop to let Jackie play second. He often talked about that. But he also often talked about the fact that when Jackie came in the door, they had been talking about him, his style and technique of play, and the fact that he had been to college, and he would understand what you got to go through. He would understand change. So they took Jackie and they set him down. And they told him what was going to happen. We think you're the one, Jackie. We think you're qualified, because you're educated. We know you're going to understand change. What you're doing is going to be change. We know that. But you're hot-headed, Jackie. We got to, you can't fight back. This is something that's going to have to be done gradually. You can't fight back, Jackie. Jackie said, I don't understand why I can't fight back. That's okay. So we're going to take you with us on the road. They took Jackie on the road for 1 year. No history, no writer wrote about this. Mr. Brewer said they took him with them for 1 year and prepared him. They took him to places where they called him all kind of names. They spit on him. They refused to let him eat in the restaurant and sleep in the hotel. He had to eat and sleep on the bus. They put him through that for 1 year. Then he began to understand what he was going to have to go through being the first one in the major league. Jackie Robinson accepted the challenge. And Branch Rickey, everything they talk about Branch, they see him meeting Jackie Robinson. That's all. The movies they made about us, books they wrote, they showed Jackie Robinson meeting Branch Rickey. Yes, he did. Only when those old men got him ready, they introduced him to Branch Rickey. Said, we got one. Jackie accepted the challenge. He went through what he had to go through opening the door. But Mr. Rickey had set in motion a long-range goal, because he knew when I do this, this is going to be a devastating blow to a dynasty, the Negro Baseball League. And when it does happen, we're going to use the Negro League as a minor league system for the major league. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that would have given these old men that's living today some credibility. It didn't happen because Branch didn't know who owned those teams. He was talking to the fronters. And when he got ready to implement his plan, they refused. And I'm going to tell you why they refused. The owners had them to refuse. They were making more money selling us to the major leagues than they would having a minor league system. Now, that was passed down to me. I'd like to introduce to you to a friend of mine, Linda. Stand up, Linda. Linda was a school teacher in Milwaukee, and she had me to come and speak to her class. And immediately afterwards, she said, Mr. Biddle, we got to put this on, we got to write about this. So me and her met day after day, putting together this book called Secrets of the Negro Baseball League. One of the biggest secrets of this is the word Negro League was never copyrighted. Belonged to anybody want to use it. They're using it all over the world. Today, They're making millions of dollars off our name and likeness, and none of that money going to those old men sitting out there with nothing that made this history. That's the sad part about it. My job is to make sure my young people know what happened. And that's what this book is. It's told by Dennis.Biddle. Lyndon wrote it. We had to copyright the word yesterday's Negro League to represent the players. And a lot of people right today don't even know that. There are organizations that were using our name and likeness, they still are using it. The New York Times reported $2.4 billion off our name and likeness, and none of that money went to those old men who made the history. That's what we are facing with today, ladies and gentlemen. Those owners got nothing for Jackie Robinson. They sneaked Jackie in on him. They sneaked Larry Doby in on him to the American League. Got nothing, not a dime. But those owners called all in front and said, look here, all you young players, I want you to sign them to loan binding contracts. So if a major league team is interested in that player, or you're going to get them ready, if he's interested, they're going to have to purchase that contract from the team he's on. And the team he's on is going to get enough money from the major league to keep the league going. That's what happened. That's what happened to me. That's what happened to Ernie Banks. That's what happened to Willie Mays, Hank Aaron. All of us had these long-binding contracts. I put it in the book, and I told them we're going to put it in the book because I want my young people to know how the Major League broke up the Negro League. If any team that was interested in me, the Cubs, had to purchase that contract. I don't know how much they paid for it. They wouldn't let us know that. But I became a free agent with the Cubs, 1955. Of course, it didn't last but a few years because right here in Mesa, Arizona, Chicago Cubs spring training camp, I broke my ankle in 2 places. That's why I get a little leery every time I come this way. That was a sad day in my life. But the Lord did not intend for me to play in the major leagues. I was there. He intended for me to do what I'm doing now. Educate my young people about this history, the part that was swept under the rug of the Negro Baseball League. When Brett Rickey got ready to implement his plan, those owners refused. And Brett told him, said, look here, Jackie opened the door 10 years ago. We don't have to go to you all now and get talent. We can go to the same places that you go and get them. And that was playground, colleges, and high schools. That's where the Negro League ball players came from. Major League started going. That's why Reggie Jackson, Frank Robinson, and all those guys never went to the Major League. They never went to the Negro League because Jackie had opened the door for them. And the Major League went to the colleges and signed them. The Negro League team could not compete anymore. So by 1960, the league died. In 1995, there were 314 players living. Coors Beer put up $10 million to bring all us together for the first time in 75 years to Kansas City. And that's where we went. That's where we found out all the things about us that was happening. And that's when I organized 314 players. All of them have gone home to glory now, but 56. But I'm going to keep doing what I do as long as I can. I'm the youngest player at 83 years old. But I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can stand up. And every time I do a presentation at a college, a high school, I'm hoping that some young player, some young person will hear me and take this further than what I have. Ladies and gentlemen, I've given you an overview of the Negro League. I left a lot of open ends. Thank you for taking the time listening to me, and may God bless all of you. Thank you.